Hey, Jesse.
I just got in my car.
Oh, okay. Observing the World, Part 2. Hey, listen, the president of Kenya comes out and he tells the people of Kenya they need to start getting their money out of the bank as far as dollars are concerned. And he gives it a couple of weeks before it crashes. My point is, how come Jehovah's organization on earth isn't warning his people about what everybody else seems to be warning?
People who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better, you better do what you must do because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So there's a lot of directions. It looks like the president of Kenya is talking about hoarders, specific hoarders that are hoarding the United States dollar.
Correct.
He's warning them that something is going to change in their country, and whatever it is, good or bad, at least people are talking about it. Maybe
Correct.
it's good, maybe it's bad, but at least you're right. The Jehovah's Witnesses should know or have a lesson in economics. Say, hey, if you're hoarding dollars, maybe you should think about replacing it 10% gold, 10% silver,
Something.
or the brick system. If they're going to go to the brick system, maybe go 50-50.
Fox News is talking about this like it's already a done deal. So this is a perfect example of Watchtower not observing the world and not giving the proper food at the right time. This is so derelict of duty from a religious organization.
It's borderline cowardism.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be borderline cowardism because this is just one small example. I think we're going to get into a couple of other examples that I came across.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if any apostate is talking about it, but I don't know why. It just keeps coming back to my brain because we're accused all the time of, in this world that we live in, by our communist brothers and sisters of being misinformation, disinformation. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses, they tell everybody to be careful with misinformation. What about hiding information, like this Kenya thing? What about hiding information? What if one day you get up and you live in Kenya and the dollar, wouldn't it be neat if you would have known about it? Because if you get all your news from jw.org, you're not going to know that the dollar is going to be switched over until it's too late.
Yeah, so they're hiding information from the people. What else are they hiding from? What else is Jehovah's organization hiding from his people?
Everything. I invite all the brothers. Type anything you want on jw.org. Like, for instance, I told you, type in something random, and we came up with panda bears.
Okay, here it is.
Panda bears. And then I said, type something else random, like cheeseburgers. We both love cheeseburgers.
Send me that picture. Yeah. Go ahead.
But then there's stories on cheeseburgers, and I don't have that picture. I'll send it to you in a little bit. But then you type in transgender. The biggest story in the last 10, 15 years, Christianity. It's going to be transgenderism. The last 10 years, maybe 5 years, transgenderism. It's hit the Christian world like a bombshell. Do you think if Jehovah was giving food at the proper time, he would have given his people instruction? So they're hiding information. Instead of misinformation, it's hide information.
So what happens when you type in transgender at jw.org?
It says 0 results. I think I sent that link to you, didn't I? Yeah. No results shown. Now, this is where I go back to the strong word. And you said we want to touch a softer tone, right? The softer side of Gilbert?
Yeah, the softer side of GG.
Yeah, you want to go Sears on us. Mm-hmm. The softer side. But I have to call them a coward. I believe that's a soft word. Because we can go F-bombs and we can go nuclear, DEFCON 5 and all this and that. But really, it's cowardism in the biggest, because this talk about leading from behind. Leading from a jackass's behind. This is the biggest thing to hit the Christian church, the Christian people of faith, in the last 5 to 10 years, transgenderism. You think Jehovah would have warned his people food at the proper time? Look at the shooting today. It was a Presbyterian church. It's at a church by a transgender person.
Yeah. And you know what? What about, speaking of the subject, what about boys and girls sharing the same bathroom and having to, pull down their pants and do their business, when nature calls. And if you refuse to go to the same bathroom as the boys and girls, all the same, some schools are taking it too far where it came on the news today where they're going to be expelled if they don't do this. So they're terrorizing children. And the point is, how come Watchtower is not educating the parents of Jehovah's Witnesses on how to deal with this? And how come Watchtower is not leading the charge in the United States Supreme Court and taking this to court? I just find this very interesting.
The proof is in the pudding. Remember, me and you came out with the theory of the New World Order, New World Translation?
Mm-hmm.
And we started preaching it over a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. We've been preaching it forever, that they're the New World Order, New World Translation.
Yeah.
If you look at the New World Order, they own all the journalism. All the journalism. If you go to Fox News, CNN, ABC News, and all the news outlets, they all hide the information about the shooter being trans.
Mm-hmm.
Only Fox News is the only ones that mention that it's a transgendered shooter.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only ones. All the major news outlets all over the United States hide that information. So Jehovah, being part of the world, does the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, it takes courage to admit this. It takes a lot of courage for a Jehovah's Witness to look himself in the mirror and say, wow, Jehovah's part of the world. It takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah. Jehovah is part of the world. The color of his JW.org, the color of his JW.org page is the same as the United Nations. The New World is plastered in the front cover of their Bible. Go ahead.
Jehovah could be a reporter for ABC News.
Correct.
For all we know, you would get the same result.
Yeah. Now, I want to jump to another subject because we're observing the world. In pop culture, there's a word going around right now. It's called sinks. Single, independent, no kids. So women are called sinks. That they're single, independent, no kids. Paul Joseph Watson did a very good video on this. And so what I'm saying is, here's the video from Paul Joseph Watson.
You've heard of incels and you've heard of simps, but what on earth is a sink?
Single, independent, no kids.
Otherwise known as single income no kids. Millennial women who mindlessly absorb the social engineering that they could have it all. A high-flying career, luxury living, and endless, exciting, carefree sexual encounters. Marriage, children, maybe at some point. A whole generation of them grew up thinking this was their future. Turns out society lied to women, and it was all bullshit. Whoops, that thrilling, dynamic, aspirational lifestyle actually meant being a wagey drone trapped in a wage cage, living alone in a shoebox apartment, eating meals for one every night, downing bottles of wine in front of Netflix, while the friends you used to go out with have all moved on and started families.
Okay, so what I'm saying is this, that Jehovah's Witness women were sinks before there were sinks. How many people do you know that Jehovah's Witness, male and female, single, independent, no kid? The numbers are huge, Jesse.
The numbers are huge. Something interesting about a sink, though, different in the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they gave all their financial earning power to Jehovah's organization. Where a sink of the world, it's the end result. You both end up in misery and alone. But the sink of the world, they were going to enjoy this flashy lifestyle like Sex in the City.
But it's paradise on earth that never showed up. Paradise on earth never came. Yeah.
And then they look back and they didn't have no children. They didn't have no grandchildren. And so there's a life of regret.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the sinks.
Yeah.
What else do you got in observing the world?
That was a big story I wanted to talk about in observing the world, is the misinformation angle. Because we get accused of misinformation and disinformation. And if you look at a lot of the media today, it's not just how how they're spinning the story. It's really what they're not reporting. And in those pictures that I showed you about Watchtower is in on it. They're not reporting anything that they want. Nothing. They, it. And so I think in the world they call that propaganda, don't they?
Correct.
They call it propaganda.
Now listen, here's a story, and this is Observing the World, and this is a leap of faith. Okay, James O'Keefe strikes again, biggest drop since Acorn. O'Keefe Media Group exposes a vast network of Democrat donation harvesters caught in criminal acts. So he would go to your house and say, Jesse, did your company and you donate $20,000 to the Democrat Party? And you're like, no. So it's basically like money laundering. But this is what I'm saying. I've told this to Rick Farron. I believe that every single person in Warwick and all of the other properties that are in New York, everybody there is registered to vote in the county in New York. They just don't know it. And so they get mail. I can't prove this. This is just what I believe. And this is happening already, with people doing harvesting with old people. But I would not be surprised if Watchtower, say they have 1,000, 2,000 people there, all of their Gilead graduates overseas, everybody's registered there, and everyone is registered to vote. The votes come into a different address, they come to a different box, and then the people come in and harvest those ballots. That's just my hunch, because we are seeing a lot of these criminal acts right now when it comes to voting. So that's just, I can't prove it. That's just what I believe. That's my hunch.
Right. Well, it's going to be nice to see that, because it's going to be real nice to see what they say about that.
Yeah. What else do you have?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that we want to have. We're observing the world, and there's a lot of news, so much news happening every day, but we want to relate it to, keep it with jw.org. Keep it with jw.org, and the connection that it has with jw.org. Does it have a connection? Police update on the Nashville shooter. Now the president's secretary says, following the Nashville school shooting, how many children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress pass the assault weapons ban? So here we have somebody in position of authority, because Watchtower says to obey the superior authorities. Watchtower says to obey the superior authorities. So this is a good question. Watchtower says to obey. So here they would be agreeing with Joe Biden on giving up your guns. And there's a lot of American citizens that don't want to give up their guns.
Correct.
So here Jehovah's not neutral.
One, Jehovah's not neutral, and if you even try to answer the debate, he'll disfellowship you.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to the individual person. Every family has to do what they have to do. But yeah, Jehovah.
Here's a story. It's kind of religious, kind of not, but it says The View host reveals she walks around naked in front of her kids, makes everyone visibly uncomfortable on The View. The girls on The View, she mentioned that they were talking about I think they were talking about something about Michelangelo's David, and one of the girls on The View said, "What's the problem? My kids seen me naked, and I walked around and they seen me, and I guess it made everybody uncomfortable." So I guess if you have kids, don't do that, and if you do, don't mention it on TV, like they said. Yeah. So that does that have a Jehovah's Witness connection on observing the world?
I don't know. I can't see it.
No, I don't see it.
But yeah, you definitely don't want to be talking about your sexual anything, nothing of that. Yeah, certain things are best not discussed on air. Another, what about the train derailments and all this other stuff? There's train derailments. What happened in Ohio? This is not being reported in Watchtower, and then also for the even health and safety of the citizens. But Jesse, why don't you tell people what happens when there's a natural disaster and what diehard Jehovah's Witnesses, how they view natural disasters? Tell them your experience with Javier Leon.
Oh man, this one hurts. I've said this a lot, and we've talked about it. That I'm of the opinion, it's just an opinion, that Jehovah's Witnesses get happy when a natural or man-made disaster hits the planet.
Correct. Either one.
Either one. They feel like it's Armageddon or the Great Tribulation, or it's closer to the end. One time there was this leak in the there was a pipe that was burst in the Gulf of Mexico, and it was leaking. It was going to leak for 100 years. And I just by chance happened to drive by the street where Javier Leon, we both stopped in the red light, and he stopped next to me, and I could see him all frustrated, and he yelled at me, "Hey!" He goes, "You see what's happening?" And I go, "No, what?" "The pipeline." Like he was trying to blame me for the pipeline. He was trying to blame me because he knows I'm a conservative Jehovah's Witness. We were Jehovah's Witnesses at the time. But why would he? And I saw like a joy. He was taking joy out of the pipeline. Now people say, well, he's not having joy. He's just real worried about it. No. He was interpreting it as a fanatic Jehovah's Witness elder as an end time sign, a sign of the end times. He was interpreting as Matthew 24.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that any pipe that busts, any radiation leakage, they chalk it up to Matthew chapter 24.
Mm-hmm.
So
instead of actually trying, well, so what can I do to fix the problem? Well, there's a lot of people donate to lawyers and others that are fighting legally, to avoid these problems, because a lot of these problems with the train derailment could be solved in that, these things shouldn't be next to each other in a train, or they should be on separate trains. And so you have lawyers now coming in and they're fighting. So other people, want to fight and they help. Whereas the Jehovah's Witnesses, no, they say, oh, this is proof that the end of the world is coming, yada, yada. And like you say, it's a sick joy that they find in the misery of other people.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like getting your field service time in when people die and you send their relatives letters. It's disgusting.
Right.
Yeah. So, hey, we're going to keep saving some more clips. If you see a clip that you think should be on Observing the World, put it in the comment section.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I emailed you the clip on the cheeseburgers.
You okay?
Yeah, you should have got that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Observing the World. Observing the World. We should do that. We should observe the world. Why should we observe the world, Jesse?
Because you don't want to be a watcher.
Yeah. You don't want to watch the world. Why don't you want to watch the world?
Because that's what the angels did.
Yeah.
The fallen angels did.
Yeah, they were watching.